Good evening and welcome to the May 15, 2024 regular meeting of the Holland City Council. I'm Mayor Nathan Box and I'm calling this meeting to order. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Yes. Byrd. Freeman.
Here.
Raymond. Corbin. Here. Soul.
Here.
Rowan.
Present.
Shea. Schultheis.
Present.
Mayor Box.
Present.
We do have a quorum.
Wonderful. Thank you. We're going to begin this evening's meeting as we have for many years. First with an opening prayer this evening by Councilmember Soul, followed immediately by the Pledge of Allegiance. We would invite you to join us.
If you will, join me. This is a Native American prayer. O great spirit, whose voice we hear in the winds and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear us. We need your strength and wisdom. Let us walk in beauty and make us, our eyes, ever behold the red and purple sunset. Let our hands respect the things you have made and our ears sharp to hear your voice. Make us wise so that we may understand the things you have taught us, your people. Let us learn the lessons you have hidden in every leaf and rock. We seek strength not to be greater than our brothers, but to fight our greatest enemy, ourselves. Make us always ready to come to you with clean hands and straight eyes, so when life fades as the fading sunset, our spirits may come to you without shame.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Belinda. Next are our consent agenda items. These are items that are considered to be fairly routine, and they will be enacted in one motion unless a member of council or a member of the general public asks for an item to be removed from the consent agenda and placed in its regular order on the regular agenda. And these have all been reviewed by council prior to this evening's meeting. Brenda, would you please review the consent agenda for us?
Yes. 4A, excuse the absences of council members Byrd, Raymond, and Shea. 4B, approve the minutes of the May 1, 2024 regular meeting. 4C, accept executed oaths of office. 4D, a tax abatement PA 198 for Starfish Brands LLC. 4E, declare surplus materials from Board of Public Works. 4F, a budget amendment for the fiscal year 2024 electric distribution capital budget. 4G, PFAS class action settlement allocation agreement. 4H, a records management policy. 4I, claims filed against the city. 4J, annual license renewal for 2024-25. 4K, award the bid for the 2024 crack ceiling project. 4L, amend the contract with Brenner Excavating for the 32nd Street culvert replacement and downstream improvements to the Weller Drain project. 4M, award the bid to Weller Drain floodplain improvements at Lugers Road. 4N, set a public hearing for June 5, 2024 for the PA 198 tax abatement for LG Energy Solutions Phase 1 renovation. 4O, award the bid for Maplewood Park updates. 4P, accept the February financial reports. 4Q, approve the contract regarding city services for Holland Local Development Finance Authority Smart Zone. 4R, approve the contract for Downtown Development Authority services with Smart Zone. 4S, accept the Community Energy Management Grant. 4T, approve the firefighter turnout gear grant application. 4U, approve the Michigan Justice Training Competitive Grant application. 4V, purchase a snowplow dump truck and equipment. 4W, award the bid for the replacement of computer equipment. 4X, a revocable license agreement for 65 East 7th Street. 4Y, a revised revocable license agreement for 182 South River Avenue. And 4Z, a revised revocable license agreement for 184 South River Avenue.
Great. Thank you, Brenda. Is there any member of the audience that would like to have an item removed from the consent agenda and placed in its regular order on the regular agenda? Seeing none. Any member of council that would like to have an item removed from consent and placed on the regular agenda? Seeing none there either. What is the pleasure of council in regard to the consent agenda?
Move to approve the agenda as presented.
I'm going to give that one to Belinda.
Okay.
Moved by Sol. Is there support, Mr. Vreeman?
I'll support it.
All right. Moved by Sol, support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Would you please call the roll?
Yes. Vreeman.
Yes.
Corbin. Yes. Sol.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Schultheis.
Yes.
And Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on our agenda is public comment. Under the Open Meetings Act of the State of Michigan, we provide the opportunity for the public to speak to council and frankly all of our boards, committees, and commissions at all of our meetings. This is an opportunity for you to speak to council about those things that you think are important. It is one-way communication. We don't typically answer questions or enter into discussion during this time period, but if there's a question that staff may be able to circle back and answer for you, we'll try to do that for you. We do limit the time to 5 minutes, and you may speak one time during the public comment period. There are 3 lights on the dais to help you keep track of that time. There's a green light that means your time is going well. Yellow light means you have 1 minute left, and when the red light comes on, your time is expired, and we are strict about that. We ask that when you come to the podium, please state the name and your name and the municipality in which you live so we can know whether you're a City of Holland resident or not. With that, if there's anyone here who would like to address council, please come forward. And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Ann Henriksen, Zealand. Good evening, and good evening, youth. Thank you, Mayor Box, for the mayoral declaration of National April Faith Month 2024 and the National Day of Prayer, May 2nd. It is a good political move to demonstrate all are welcome here and is good for election status as well. What citizens want, though, is a demonstrated support and assurance for their religious freedoms of expression, as the City of Holland lawyer guaranteed would happen in the 2020 anti-discrimination ordinance. Unfortunately, that has not happened. Also, thank you for those on the council who attended events in April and who came to the National Day of Prayer breakfast at the Civic Center. I will apologize to the mayor for the misunderstanding over the seating. We had some people on the committee that were new, and they mistakenly did not designate a front table seating for you and Mayor Kleinster of Zealand, as we did last year. I am the chairperson for the event, and so sorry for not catching this. I apologize. You should have been seated with the guest speaker, Sylvia Williams, Midwest Area Coordinator of the National Day of Prayer. There was an amazing response with 253 tickets sold. The faith of Holland is awakening and willing to take their place in our county outside their church walls for freedom, families, and Jesus Christ, which is the bedrock of West Michigan. The Holland Museum held an April Faith Month event for your friends of yours, Mayor. Mary and Chris Martin gave their book presentation, Come Home Alive, which was a heartwarming miracle story of God about Mary and Chris. After having recent throat cancer surgery, Chris is now able to speak with his own voice through computer technology. At one time, Chris had been a radio commentator in Milwaukee, so you can see how important this is to him. Chris and Mary are heroes of faith and prayer. Another event that was well attended during National April Faith Month was the First Liberty Institute luncheon at the Civic Center Place. Concerned Women of America Representative Josh Perry was there from Florida. 170 citizens came to hear how our religious freedom of expression and exercise is being ignored in cities, state, and federal governments. There was robust applause to hear Attorney Jeremy Dice, originally from West Michigan. He spoke creatively, as only a lawyer can do, about the 90% success rate of the Institute lawsuits with cities, state, and federal governments here in Michigan and across the nation. I think the attendees knew that they had been living under the punitive ordinance and DEI department ROC mandated from the city of Holland, with the fear of being sued at the state level. You could hear courage rising as residents began to hear how monuments like the cross in Grand Haven can be restored under the Supreme Court ruling of abolishing the Lemon Law. This new courage is a joy to see that our religious freedoms cannot be trampled and destroyed by sexual ideologies currently accommodated in the city of Holland with DEI influences in our schools, libraries, museums, parks, senior centers, churches, and families. We are learning the courage to stand and demand protection for expression of our faith. No fear anymore of losing your job or business. Tulip time was amazing, and so many smiles on people's faces despite the tremendous traffic jams and curses upon the buildings and people of the Satanic Temple congregation. Yes, they were here and very present on the streets of Holland. This may be a dicey problem for the city and the tourists in the future. Good job, Holland. Thank you for your efforts to make this a decent and moral Tulip Time celebration. You know how to do this well. As this religious freedom continues to grow, we hope Holland, Michigan is known not just for tulips, but more so for the people of faith in God. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period. Oh, I'm sorry. Please come forward. Sorry about that.
I was waiting for her to get back to her seat.
No problem. Would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
I am Derek Dahlman, and I am from Olive Township, and I am here because I'm running for Ottawa County Probate Judge this year. I must admit that this attire is not exactly what I expected to be wearing in front of you all, but I think it really helps to paint a picture of why I'm running for the position that I am. So if you'll hear me, I'll get to that in just a moment, but I'd like to tell you all a little bit about my background, though I already know a fair amount of you. I'm a lifelong resident of West Michigan. I grew up in the small town of Vicksburg. Most people just look at me with a blank face when I say that. That's near Kalamazoo, and that's usually what I default to. I came to Ottawa County several years ago, and I started my career as an assistant prosecutor for Ottawa County. I handled various matters at all levels when I was with the prosecutor's office, felonies, misdemeanors. I managed the juvenile delinquency docket. I handled mental commitment proceedings, some abuse and neglect matters, but less than the other things. I was there for a while, and then I went into private practice at Cunningham Dahlman here in Holland, where I am also a deputy city attorney. And I sit in Mr. Duckworth's seat with the ZBA once a month when we have the meetings. In both of those roles, in private practice and as a deputy city attorney, I wear quite a few hats. I do a fair amount of criminal defense. I also am an ordinance prosecutor, which, if you're keeping up, that means I've prosecuted my entire career, and I've also done criminal defense for a large portion of it, which I know sounds strange to a lot of people. But that's actually, I think, the type of balance that most people would like to see in a judge. Not only do you have to see and listen to cases on both sides of them, I have the perspective of having done that the majority of my career. With private practice, I handle a lot of real estate litigation, general civil matters. I am court appointed to represent individuals who are subject to mental commitment orders, mental health proceedings, probate litigation, all kinds of stuff. If it ends up in a courtroom, chances are I've had my hand in it at some point in time. With the city of Holland, much the same thing. For those of you who don't recognize my face, haven't seen me, I've worked on a lot of things that have come across your desk, including even today. As I said, I do the ordinance prosecution, I do the ZBA matters, I handle tax appeals, a lot of things that go on that I work on. So that's my professional background. Again, that balanced experience, kind of working both sides, I think is what kind of uniquely situates me for becoming a judge, and what I hope the voters will agree with. But moving on to the personal and kind of tying into the t-shirt, I'm very dedicated to community service. When I came to Ottawa County, I didn't want to just be here. I wanted to leave a lasting positive mark on this community that I call home, and that my family lives here with me in. Because of that, I've actively been involved in youth coaching for several years now. I have 2 boys that are 7 and 9. I've coached them for as long as they've been in sports, in several different sports, including this year wrestling, which I never did, so that was a new experience for me. I am on the board of Holland Teen Court, something that I think all of you or most of you are familiar with. I'm also an avid volunteer with Michigan Outdoor Wishmakers, which is a nonprofit group that takes youth primarily who have lived with disability or illness. We take them on hunting and fishing trips to show them and empower them that they can do things that they never thought they could. We also take veterans on similar trips to thank them for their service. I actually spent the end of last week on a veterans turkey hunt up north for several days. So really giving back, being part of the community, and just helping people are what motivate me. It's why I'm an attorney, and it's why I want to be a judge, particularly in the probate court. A lot of people hear probate, and they don't really know what that means. I get that question a lot. What happens in the probate court? There are, general probate matters that we all think of: estates, trusts, will and trust contests, those types of things, and certainly those occur out there, but they're a pretty small part of what happens there. The probate court really has, I think, a direct impact on our community more than any of the other courts do. That's where the individuals go who are subject to mental health treatment orders. That's where families go for abuse and neglect matters to try to make them stronger and hopefully not have to terminate parental rights. That's where the juvenile delinquency cases are handled.
Mr. Mayor, that is 5 minutes.
I'm sorry, your time has expired.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council? Yes, please come forward. And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Thanks so much. My name is Madison Alvara, and my municipality is actually Pasadena, California. We're here visiting, my wife and I, to see if we might want to move here. And yeah, we've been spending the past kind of week here, and I just wanted to say, it's such a wonderful community in so many ways. But there's a couple things that are giving us hesitancy, and just so that y'all know that. One of the big things is the heavy industrial facilities right along Lake Makatawa. We just were talking to some locals this morning. They said it's kind of colloquially known as Lake Makatoilet, just because of the pollution that's been happening in there, and the fish population dying and stuff like that. And we were trying to bike around, and it was gravel and stuff blowing in our eyes, and really kind of unpleasant, right next to big trucks with black plume exhaust coming out, which definitely detracts. And I think it's an environmental kind of air quality, water quality concern that I don't know how much the city has thought about that, but I thought it'd be helpful to think about as an outsider thinking about moving here. And kind of we were really excited about the greenways with the bike paths and stuff, but a lot of those are still really close to the industrial facilities, so it doesn't feel as, I guess, advertised. And then the other piece of it too, especially with that first comment, so it's my wife and I, we're very used to feeling, part of, I guess, inclusion is feeling like we also have the freedom to be ourselves. And that's one of the things that attracted us to this city with enshrining in the, the like city ordinance, or I can't remember what it was, that there can't be discrimination towards sex, race, gender identity, and all these things. And I really hope that the city doesn't lose that under the guise of religious freedom, because there are more religions than just Jesus. But thank you so much. Appreciate the time. And yeah, I would love to talk more if you want to email me. MADHOBBS 42 at iCloud.com, madhobbs@icloud.com. But yeah, thanks so much for the time. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to address council at this time? Going once? Don't want to miss anybody's chance. All right. Now I will close the public comment period. Next item on the agenda, special order of the day, public hearings, a PA 198 tax abatement for LT Precision Michigan LLC. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, council, and members of the public that are here and maybe watching at home. We are officially transitioning this, remember, council, where I used to give these introductions, and now I'm very happy to every time reintroduce Mark Myers, our Community and Neighborhood Services Director, who also handles our economic development, who will introduce this topic and the applicants to us tonight. Thanks for being here, Mark.
Thank you, Keith. Thank you, Mayor and City Council. Pleased to present on this PA 198 tax abatement application. Last week I introduced the City Council to a new manufacturer to both the city and also the state of Michigan. And tonight I'm pleased to introduce a new manufacturer not only to the city and the state, but also to our country. LT Precision Michigan LLC is a subsidiary of the Korean-based LT Precision Company Limited, and they're here to establish a battery component manufacturing plant. They want to be closer to their U.S. customers and also expand to additional customers to the EV market. This will be located near the airport at 1776 Airport Court in the industrial area of the city. The company is applying for a tax abatement on a $6.5 million project. That's real property investment to an existing building that's been vacant. When you consider personal property and also equipment, the total investment is $43.2 million. The project is estimated to create up to 70 new jobs within 2 years. That's over a number of classifications, and wages will range anywhere from $45,000 per year to $100,000 per year. The site was selected over potential sites in Indiana and also Ohio. I want to thank Lakeshore Advantage, and we have a representative here tonight to answer any questions, for helping on this project, which is about 2 years in the making. Also, to the state of Michigan, the MEDC, for their performance grant, which is tied into this tax abatement as well. With that, we also have company representatives, and before we answer questions, I'm going to invite a representative from the company. I'll allow you to introduce yourself, and they'll tell you a little more about the company and their project.
Great. Thank you, Mark. Yes, please come forward. And would you please state your name and municipality for the record?
Hello, thank you for having us here today. My name is Joanne, and I'm actually from Troy, Michigan, so I'm a long way from home.
Welcome.
Thank you. So I just want to introduce our team a little bit. So we have Mr. Yang here with us today, and he's the president of LT Precision Michigan, and we have Daniel, and we have Jungmin as well here today with us. And as Mark introduced earlier today, our company is a subsidiary of a South Korean automotive manufacturer, and we decided to invest in the U.S., specifically Michigan, for a large amount of reasons. But as you are probably well aware, Michigan does have the highest share of percentage in the U.S. for auto production, which was one of the reasons why we did want to come here. And it also has the greatest concentration of mechanical and industrial engineers, which is crucial for our business. And you probably lived here a long time, but this area in particular is a college town area. We do have a GRCC, we have Hope, and we have nearby Grand Rapids, other schools there as well. And we not only want to invest in our business, but we want to invest in the community as well. And we thought it'd be great to start there by, bringing people from these schools to train under our company and sharing back what we've learned to the community here as well. And to kind of share more about what we do specifically, we plan to manufacture battery cases for electric vehicles. And our battery cases are unique compared to the ones that are currently available in the market because we enhance the cooling efficiency by welding the top and bottom of the case to create a channel for a coolant to reduce the heat generated by batteries during charging or driving. And this is known as a cooling plate, and it's becoming increasingly important due to the capacity increase of lithium-ion batteries, which is the power source of electric vehicles. And so we plan to dedicate ourselves not only to the automotive manufacturing industry by continuing to produce these high quality products, but also through our production technology, through various patents and business know-how that we've been doing for several decades. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions from council for staff or for the applicant? Great, seeing none. Do need to open a public hearing on this. So this is the opportunity for any member of the public, if they would like to speak on this particular item, this is your opportunity during this public hearing. Is there anyone here who would like to address council in regard to this particular item? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve.
Moved by Sol, is there support?
Support.
Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Corbin. Yes. Sol,
Yes.
Rowan,
Yes.
Schultheis,
Yes.
Vreeman,
Yes.
and Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, written petitions and communications. In addition to providing the public the opportunity to speak to us in person during our meetings, we do also have an email address that you can send and send messages to us, and those will come to all council members. We do review those between our regular meetings and accept them into the record during our regular meetings. We don't read them out loud at the meeting, but we have reviewed them ahead of time. That email address is publiccomment@cityofholland.com. publiccomment@cityofholland.com. We do have a couple of emails, and I would be looking for a motion from council to accept those into the record.
Move to accept that communication into our record.
Moved by Vreeman, is there support?
Support.
Support by Sol. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, reports from special committees, the Holland Youth Advisory Council update, and farewell to the class of 2024 scholars. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This, I think, for many of us, has really turned into one of the more enjoyable council meetings that we have every year. Yeah, I'm getting some hot, yeah. Because these are students that we feel like we've gotten to know them. Attending a lot of our meetings, coming to study sessions, putting them on the hot seat sometimes and making public comment, and the mayor giving them all the rules that they have to talk to. But I think they just represent the best and the brightest of the city, but quite frankly, the region, with several high schools that are represented here. And I also love to brag about our own team that works with these fantastic students, both Esther and Joan McCluskey. And I'm going to hand it over now to Joan, who I think is going to talk more about both the HIAC students overall, but particularly the seniors. So thank you, Joan, for your work and being here tonight.
I'm going to let the students speak.
Hello?
Hello, and you know the rules. You need to tell us your name and municipality. I won't make you go through all of the other things I make you do the other meetings, but we do want to know who you are and what school you go to.
Oh, I am Amelia Traver, and I go to West Ottawa High School. As I said, my name is Amelia Traver, and I am the chair of Core Council and of Social Services. Welcome to the 2024 Senior Farewell for the Holland Youth Advisory Council. This year, Core Council chose Eunice Ochoa for the 2023 Youth Social Justice Award winner. She truly exemplifies what it means to be an advocate for social change and demonstrates the powerful voice that youth can have in our community. HIAC students participated in STEM night at West Ottawa. Students led kids make their own catapult and build boats to add pennies and see how strong they were. The strongest boat held 148 pennies. Core Council members also learned CPR, and all HIAC students learned facts about elections and had the opportunity to register if they were old enough. The Social Services Committee volunteered at the Great Thanksgiving Banquet. They served over 1,200 people in the community. We also sponsored a food drive at our schools. Collectively, we got 196 pounds of food and personal items for Community Action House. Students also spent a Saturday morning volunteering at Community Action House, stocking shelves, produce, and putting UPC labels on food. We also prepared and served a breakfast at the community kitchen.
Hello, my name is Jacqueline Barajas, and I go to West Ottawa High School. And I serve on the Environmental Committee, teamed up with Black River, West Ottawa, and Holland High to green up their lunches. HIAC students worked with their school sustainability committees to recycle their recyclables. We worked with Black River to weigh and measure their food waste from their kitchen and lunchroom, collecting data that will give students a baseline from which to start to meet their goal of composting their food waste. Our first hands-on project was insulating the electrical outlets in our homes. Only 2 of the students had them already insulated. So the students counted the electrical outlets and light switches on the exterior walls of their homes, and Dan Biersma was able to get the foam insulators for the students. Dan ordered extra, and the students were able to install foam insulators on the outside walls of City Hall. It took the students less than 30 minutes. 2 of the students wrote an article in the Holland Centennial describing their project. HIAC on Kayaks is an event sponsored by the Environmental Committee. All HIAC students will venture out in kayaks on Lake Mactowel tomorrow afternoon. We will be picking up trash in the water and along the shoreline. Pray for nice weather.
Hi, my name is Henry Mulder, and I serve on the Recreation Committee. So we started the year with a trunk or treat at Jefferson Elementary School, and for our trunk we used Joan's car, and our theme was Barbie. We then followed up with a farmer's market, or at the farmer's market during their Fall Fest, and during this time we played games with the kids and handed out prizes. The third thing we did was we decorated Christmas cookies at the Boys and Girls Club, in which we were graciously donated cookies by DeBoer Bakery. We then did a scavenger hunt at the St. Patrick's Day Parade, and it's the 3rd year we've done that now. Although the weather wasn't as great, it was a little chilly. We had a great turnout, lots of competition, lots of family involvement. We were able to hand out some gift cards, a lot of which were donated. And then even though snow covered the ground, we had the Easter egg hunt this year, and we did it in City Hall. There were lots of eggs for the kids to find, stickers for them to play with, and they even got Easter-themed tattoos.
Not all HIAC students served on youth boards. Some HIAC students represented the youth on city boards. Hello, my name is Yazan Ochoa, and I serve on the International Relations Commission. This year, the International Relations Commission has been busy with expanding our efforts in and outside of the community. This includes obtaining certifications as a welcoming city, strengthening relationships in the city of Assen of the Netherlands, and planning and improving the International Relations Festival.
Hello, my name is Angel Venegas, and I serve on the Human Relations Commission. The Human Relations Commission has stayed committed to its goal of building a community with residents who are honored, valued, and unhindered by bias. We honor those individuals who positively impact our community by hosting our annual Social Justice Awards. These are given to several individuals or organizations each year who demonstrate their work of building a better Holland. We also strive to acknowledge the value of those community organizations and events that give back to the community as well. We do this by sponsoring such events like Fiesta Week, Pride, the Juneteenth celebration, and many others. Our commission remains fervent to building a better community. And then I will also be reading for Greta Bast, who serves on the Neighborhood Improvement Commission. One of the highlights from this year was the showing of the movie The Great Disconnect. The documentary was followed by a panel discussion. The commission has spent time planning and allocating funds for the CDBG this year, including working towards an age-friendly community designation, as well as continuing to work more with neighborhood connection organizations. A lot of programs are in the works.
Hello, my name is Ice Badran, and I serve on the Police Community Relations Commission. In December, the PCR worked with the charity Sleep in Heavenly Peace to donate beds to those in need, as well as paid for citizens' gas as an act of kindness during the holiday season. Members of the Police Community Relations Commission spoke to students at nearby schools about what police do and how they, the students, can help in certain emergencies. The PCR discussed many significant issues such as the housing crisis and mental health struggles, and they also discussed ways to improve the lives of those affected by those issues.
Hello, my name is Yanis Ochoa, and I am speaking on behalf of Mikael Salazar. Mikael serves on Teen Court and has had 7 cases this past year. Teen Court interrupts developing patterns of criminal behavior by promoting feelings of self-esteem, motivation for self-improvement, and the development of a healthy attitude towards authority. Teen Court challenges youth to perform at their highest level of ability. It places a high priority on educating young people regarding their responsibilities as individuals, family members, and citizens.
Hello, my name is Ahavla Faber, and I'm a sophomore at Holland High School. This year I had the pleasure to assist the Holland Historic District Commission. This year, the Historic District Commission has saved one of the oldest homes in the city from demolition, and we have approved the painting of old historic buildings on 8th Street. I would like to thank the Commission for their support this last year. Excuse me. This has been such an incredible experience. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ezra Van Zetten, and I serve on the Parks and Recreation Commission. They updated their 5-year plan and got that submitted for unanimous approval. They also redid Moran Park with new playground equipment to increase accessibility, resurface the tennis courts and the pickleball courts. And there will be a futsa court, which is like a smaller version of street soccer. They also decided to move the old greenhouse to Centennial Park, and we started construction on the ice rink.
Hello, everyone. My name is Abraham Hernandez, and I'm from West Ottawa High School, and I serve on the Max Transit Board. Sorry. I don't know if any of you guys know this, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. But public transportation is awesome. And after 2 years of working with Max Transit, I finally got to go in with them and be a part of their team, and it was honestly such a great experience. Because at first, I think if we all think of a bus, I don't think any of you guys are like, oh my goodness, it's a bus. I can't wait to get inside and ride the bus throughout Holland. But through working with them, that my viewpoint has changed. And just honestly, I give praise to Max Transit and also just public transportation as a whole, because it really does change a city. And so this year for Max Transit has been bigger and brighter than ever because minimum wage has been raised, and we saw an increase in applications to become a bus driver or to work in their workshop, wherever they fix the buses. But yeah, and so far we have a full staff, which is honestly amazing for Max Transit, because as of last year, it was kind of cutting it close. And so that's one of the things that Max Transit has been doing. And also a new eco-friendly bus that's going to be added to Max Transit as well, which is honestly so cool and amazing. That's so cool, I think. And yeah, that's all I got. But the eco-friendly bus, I mean, come on now. Isn't that cool? Isn't that like, oh my goodness, electric vehicles? So now I'm just like, oh my goodness, the future is in Holland.
Hello, my name is Hayden Bauman and I serve on the Planning Commission. The Planning Commission helps make recommendations for land use and approve site plans made by companies wishing to renovate or expand. Some companies or projects the Planning Commission has helped this year are the Makatawa Area Express, the Window on the Waterfront Ice Park, and LG.
I'm Amelia Traver again, and these are the seniors of the Holland Youth Advisory Council. Seniors, please stand and remain standing after I call your name. Mikael Salazar, Abraham Hernandez, Armando Moreno, Anna Tusink, Hayden Bauman, Yoshigi Gordillo Bainas, Ezra Van Zetten, Reese Youngblood, Betsy Aranos Valero, Eva San Pedro, Yanisa Ochoa, Henry Mulder, Angel Venegas, Natalie Legg, Jacqueline Barajas, Jacqueline Romero, Ricky Rodriguez, Spencer White, and Owen Youngblood. Congratulations, seniors, and thank you.
Fantastic. Anything else, Joan or Keith?
Yeah, Joan, why don't you walk through, because we get to stay, but everyone else gets to go have ice cream, right?
You're
All right.
absolutely right. I wanted to invite the seniors and the Hayek students out into the atrium where we will have ice cream sundaes that you can make for yourself.
And don't leave yet, because I'm guessing City Council may have a few comments for those of you here, and we do have a motion that we have an agenda item that we need to take care of as well before they leave. So any comments from council? Mr. Vreeman.
Well, guys and gals, way to go. I just applaud you for stepping out. You have come through COVID and you made yourselves available, and you are more educated and more experienced, and we are a better place because we had you at part of our tables and our discussions and your viewpoints. And so thank you for investing in your city. And if you're graduating, just blessings on all of your future endeavors and education and jobs and all the things that you're going to be doing. We look forward to your re-engagement as adult citizens voting, doing all your things. So way to go.
Mr. Schulteis?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So rookie standpoint, thank you. It's been inspiring to see the involvement of your group. It's clear that it takes overt effort to do what you do. Thank you for the impact, the tangible impact that you've actually made in the city. Appreciate it.
Ms. Sol?
Well, congratulations, felicidades, and it's great seeing your faces, and I'm sure one day we're going to see your faces sitting behind where we're sitting. So I look forward to handing over the baton to you great leaders, and again, it just speaks volumes to what you're doing, because being a teenager, I don't remember ever wanting to get involved, but you know, hey, times have changed, so congrats and best wishes to your new chapter in life.
Ms. Rowan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I echo what my colleagues have said here. You're all very impressive. The level of articulateness that you've expressed and your poise in presenting, like during our study sessions here tonight as well, it's just, you bring a lot of hope and a lot of great hair. A lot of you have super fabulous heads of hair, and I'm super jealous, but aside from that, it's just really wonderful to see you so engaged and enthusiastic. It's not just checking a box, taking a class, fulfilling some requirements. You bring a level of enthusiasm that's so impressive, and I applaud you, and I wish you the very, very best for the next step for all of you. Thank you.
Mr. Corbin?
Well, congratulations, all those seniors leaving us. That's a sad moment for us, but a happy day for you. You're moving on to a future that's bright. I thank you for all your participation in our committees and groups. Many of you served on committees and boards that I serve on. But the one thing I want to leave with you is you are our future. Not only Holland's future, but America's future, right? Wherever you end up in life, you're going to be the future. And so keep that in mind. Keep that perspective, is that your leadership today is going to be the leadership of tomorrow. So thank you.
I'm going to echo what council has already said very well. Congratulations. I feel like we know you. You did something that a lot of adults have a difficult time doing, coming in and speaking publicly, telling us what you think is important, asking smart questions. You are going to be going places in this world. I'd like to, whenever anybody asks me about how to be successful in life, I always use a Woody Allen quote: 80% of life is showing up. Okay, you guys are showing up. You're getting it done. You're not, as they said, just checking the box and taking the class. You are getting involved in your community, and that is one of the most valuable things that you could be doing. We greatly appreciate you, and as Mr. Van Beek said, you are the best and the brightest. We have incredibly high hopes and high expectations for you, and I do not doubt, as Councilmember Sol said, you will be sitting either behind this dais or another dais somewhere. You're going to be running this world, and we are so excited about where you're going to go. So congratulations. Council, we do have a recommendation in front of us, and I would I'd be looking for a motion on that recommendation. I think it'd be appropriate to actually read the recommended motion, if there's anybody interested in making that motion. Mr. Schulteis.
Recommend to approve Agenda Item 11 Alpha, the recommendation that the city extend its appreciation to the 2024 Holland Youth Advisory Council for their service to the City of Holland, and recognize the graduating seniors for their service to the City of Holland.
Thank you, Mr. Schulteis. Do we have support? Support by Sol. Is there any discussion? Seeing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. Now you may go get your ice cream. Yeah, we'll give them a couple of moments to get situated and get their ice cream before we move on in the agenda. So, and no, Mr. Schulteis, you may not leave and go get ice cream. Or Mr. Corbin. Yeah, I would ask that council stay so we can complete our business. Yes. They do. They're pretty good and they're pretty quiet. Let's move forward. Item 12E 4.4. Approve Michigan Maritime and Port Facility Assistance Grant application. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. In a moment, I'm going to ask our grant manager, Connie Locker, to come up and talk specifically about this grant. You all do a great job of looking at your consent agenda, and you know that we have 3 other grant items that you already approved on consent agenda. And just a reminder, 2 things. We always look for and require your approval to apply for a grant, but then ultimately sometimes we get that great situation where we also are accepting a grant, and we had one of those tonight. This is specifically applying for a specific grant, and it is related to Waterfront Holland, so where I'm going to not talk about the grant in particular yet. I'm going to let Connie do that in a moment. I thought it worthwhile to give an update in larger context for all of you, an update, and maybe for others just to understand where we are in Waterfront Holland and maybe even what that is. So just a reminder, Waterfront Holland was that, I think, very successful, large, involved community engagement exercise that we went through that continues to live. It's not just a one-time thing that we did that we put away and then we don't, continue to reflect on it. It continues to live. And just a reminder again, Waterfront Holland was a lot of things that we've already completed or are in process with, such as 6th Street, the complete reconstruction and kind of the re-envisioning of that. That's Waterfront Holland. The ice rink that we were able to break ground on a couple weeks ago, that's Waterfront Holland. Some of the amenities that we've been able to add at Collin Park, not only in kind of enjoyment features, but quite frankly, some of the water quality features that we put there, that's Waterfront Holland. because Waterfront Holland was taking a look at, in a global sense, the large stretch of land that we have where the city interacts with water, and water in different forms, right? All the way from Windmill Island Garden, where you don't think of that as being a lake, but it's right along the river bend and kind of in the basin, and then it translates into Lake Makatawa. Now, one of the most well-recognized and talked about elements of Waterfront Holland, but again, I always like to say it's one element, it's not the element, is the land swap. And the land swap, unfortunate the commenter isn't here tonight because it speaks to that, right? Is that the larger community did talk about and recognize that we are a working waterfront, and that the reality of probably moving those working waterfronts off the waterfront is not really immediately attainable or viable or even desired by our larger community, is the feedback that we got back. But we did take a look at a particular opportunity to move Verplanks at the end of 8th Street to where the power plant came down, and then open up that targeted development parcel paired with other city-owned property, and really make that a new private development that had met a lot of the community visioning and principles that we established. We are almost like not to the day, but pretty close. We're 1 year from the vote that we had as a community that authorized all of you as council to actually execute a sale of land on the waterfront. Some people ask me, like, where are we with that project, and like we're behind, and I'd like to remind people, and I'll say it publicly again, I don't feel that we're behind, and quite frankly, I would have, and I did tell everyone that would listen 1 year ago, this is going to take the full part of a year or longer before we get through many of the detailed steps to even know if this will continue to move forward. So at this point, I sit before you, I'm not standing, I sit before you and say, I think we're on track, and I don't feel that we're behind or that, but I thought it'd be a worthwhile exercise to just let you know, and by extension, everybody know kind of where we stand. Remember also, we got to the vote, not just doing Waterfront Holland community visioning, but we had vision and we had principles, and we said, this is what we're shooting for. And that's why 6th Street and the ice rink were filling different gaps. And not any one project is going to fill all of the things that our community envisions and dreams about for the waterfront. But we did feel, and ultimately through a request for qualifications and a request for proposals process, we had one submittal from GDK Development Properties that submitted something that they said, we think we can make this land swap work. We vetted that both from a staff perspective and a community perspective and consultant perspective, went through that in great detail with all of you as council and with the larger community. And you approved that before ultimately that went forward before the vote of the people also to authorize us to continue moving forward with the authorization to do a sale if we get to that point. So what has been happening? There has been extensive, detailed work on, remember what we talked about, a term sheet, and it was a multi-page kind of bulleted list of here are all the things that is additional work that we really needed to get over the hurdle of having the ability to sell land, that we needed to do the due diligence, which takes time and money, before we could actually get to the point of having formal purchase agreements put in place, and also move forward through our typical planning commission and city council process to get an actual development considered and go through those approval processes. So in the meantime, a lot of things happening, like talking with Eagle, which is, of course, the acronym at the state for Environment, Great Lakes, and Energy, for permits for doing things like working alongside and in the water at Lake Makatawa for seawalls. And also it involves the Army Corps of Engineers, which is a federal entity. So there's been a lot of work turning into and having conversations with those groups to see if we can actually obtain the permits to do things like build the marina on the development site as was proposed. Also doing a lot of environmental and appraisal reviews, looking at the mayor who's involved with real estate a lot. That is not quick work done. So a lot of that is still being done and finalized and worked on, and which is why we knew it would take quite a long time. I can affirm that we've also had a lot of conversations with the parties, and really there's at least 3 parties in this deal. There would be Verplanks, who right now has private property that can stay on the private property that they currently are on, or could choose to enter into a larger agreement to move to the JDY site. You have GDK, which then would ultimately obtain the development site at the end of A Street, which is part Verplank and part city. And then, of course, you have the city and the BPW in all of those conversations. So we've been very actively working through that, including such things as coming up with the ability to make sure that we have public access, as has been a very key principle throughout all of this at the end of A Street, public access on a private site. So we're feeling we've made great progress on a lot of these types of things, but it's not ready to bring back to council for recommendations yet, but we are making progress. Which brings us to tonight. Like a lot of projects, and for those of you that serve on Planning Commission, or quite frankly, as we take a look at different projects, in the world that we live right now with higher inflation rates and higher interest rates, getting projects to the point of, hey, that's a great idea, we'd like to do it, but I'm not going to take the risk on that because of the money that's involved with it, continues to be, quite frankly, the continuing largest challenge that we have. Making sure that there's money available to do all the things that are involved, which is why we're taking a look at a grant tonight, and specifically this Michigan Maritime and Port Facility Assistance Grant. Connie has been fantastic partner in all of this with our other partners, taking a look at opportunities and applying for funding to help make basically the capital financial stack of moving all these pieces around something that all of the partners can take a look at. So hopefully that gives you a contextual overview of where we are, not only with Waterfront Holland as a whole, but specifically why this is a grant application that we're recommending that you allow us to apply for. So Connie, with that, will you come up and tell us a little bit more about this particular grant opportunity and the recommendation that we're making? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Keith, and thank you, Mayor and council members. As Keith summarized, following the positive land swap vote last May, city staff have been working to identify and apply for various grants to support the Waterfront Holland effort. On the city side of the project is the James DeYoung Power Plant site. Holland Board of Public Works has already invested a significant amount of funds to restore the site following the demolition of the power plant last August. And the next step is really to upgrade the site to prepare it for a new industrial use. Among a variety of items, the 2 biggest items are rebuilding the existing seawall, which is about 85 years old, and creating a stable aggregate surface to receive product on site. The estimated cost of these 2 items is about $8 million currently. So the state of Michigan recently announced a new grant program called the Michigan Maritime and Port Facility Assistance Grant. And this program funds maritime projects that help strengthen Michigan's economic competitiveness, reduce the cost of freight transportation, improve reliability, and mitigate the impact of freight movement on the environment. This is a one-time grant opportunity, and the maximum award per applicant is $2.5 million. The planned waterfront Holland related work at the JDY site, we believe, is a good fit for this grant program. And so the city would like to apply for the maximum award amount of $2.5 million. If awarded, these funds would significantly offset the total planned project cost of $8 million.
Great. Any questions for staff? Mr. Schulteis?
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate the broad view, appreciate the specifics. A couple things in this, maybe a validation. So the grant application does not, is it correct, does not bind us to using, correct? It's a reimbursement?
Yes, it's a reimbursement grant, and if we are awarded, we are not required to accept. So.
Okay, thanks. Yeah. And then maybe looking to the future, maybe Keith, for you, the recommendation reads, if awarded, authorize staff to accept and implement the grant. What does implementation of the grant look like if it's no project on the books?
Yeah, so one of the things is it's a two-step process, right? So we would accept the grant like you did on consent agenda earlier. So when we apply we'll know more information between now and then to actually accept the grant. Implementation would be more along the line of, in our application, it's understood, it's like, okay, let's say if we got it in, 4 months, it's not like we're gonna start the next day and do the project. It's hinged to other things that we're doing in the larger. And then implementation, it's really a fantastic additional service that Connie does on our behalf. I think a lot of times people think, oh, you got a grant and you cash a check and you're done at that point. The reality is most of these, particularly federal and state grants, there's a lot of reporting requirements that are associated with that. So Connie does a fantastic job of following up on, and when you implement, you make sure that you follow the grant requirements and do that grant reporting requirements to make sure that we still stay in good stead and make ourselves available to continue to get grant funds in the future.
Thanks. I think that helps clarify it. So it is not an implementation of a project to execute a project. It's to implement the grant requirements as they're laid out.
Right.
Great. Thanks.
Obviously this money would be used in a future project that we would implement, if that makes sense, right? It would be money towards like something that we would bring forward to you to replace the seawall, to do the lay down and those types of things. But that's not before you tonight, but that's how we would apply and use those funds.
Thanks.
Okay. Mr. Corbin.
My questions have been answered.
Very good. And some of these things I may have I didn't see in the documentation, so forgive me if it's in there and I missed it, but I'll first go with soft match and or matching funds. Do we have to match these dollars at all?
There's no match requirement for this grant.
No match requirement, okay. And then I guess I'm not really sure or understand how we might be using the dollars that we're applying for. So I hear seawall, but I'm not sure I understand what you mean by that in regards to the application, where and how that would be used and how that would benefit. So if I could be enlightened on that.
Yeah, basically, so in large sense, which is why I gave you the larger context, while this portion isn't in front of you before, because quite frankly, it's chicken and an egg, we need some money to make it go. But we know, and it was in the term document, that the seawall at the JDY site currently is 85 years old. And if we were successful in getting all the final agreements put together where Verplank would move there, there's concern that you put heavy aggregate right next to that seawall that you might have a failure. So part of it is to replace the seawall, and then part of it is also basically to have the laydown area where the aggregate would go. Both steps that would be necessary for the city to prepare the JDY site, which we currently own in conjunction with the BPW, where Verplank would then move there, we'd do a land exchange, and then they'd be operating on that site.
Yeah, to me, it seems reasonable, even for some reason, if an agreement doesn't come in together, because then we're still doing a base, we're protecting the shoreline. I mean, and generally, even if we did that work, it would still be reasonable to expect that it would benefit us in a variety of ways.
Yeah, we'll have future recommendations to you when all this comes together. It's
Right.
kind of bits and pieces. We have engineering studies that we continue to evaluate. I think, Councilmember Corbin, if you won't have this use going there, and depending on what might be there long term, the seawall right now is fine for current use or passive use. So it's not like we're at the point of an emergency or out there. I don't want people to get
Correct.
that idea.
Correct.
But if you put a different type of use there that puts a different type of load right there, then that's where it's like, hey, that's something that we would need to do.
Yeah, I guess what
So
I'm-
it's a little bit of an either or. The nice thing about applying for this grant is at this step, we're only applying for the grant. There's many additional steps to go. This is a step we need to do to continue to walk down that process.
Thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Great. Thank you very much. What is the pleasure of council in regard to this item?
Move to approve the Michigan Maritime Port Authority Assistance Grant application.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Sol. Any discussion? I just have a couple of comments. They weren't really questions. First of all, thank you for the proactive work on this. You know, when you're talking about there are many steps down the line if this grant is applied for. I think sometimes we get lost in the idea of that if we had done those many steps and then thought to ourselves, well, where are we going to get the money for that? That is a great forward-thinking way of doing it, and also the multiple steps ago. This council made the decision, along with the Board of Public Works, to accept the recommendation of staff to hire a full-time grant person that we share with. And I don't know, Connie, if you have this number, or Mr. Van Beek, you have this number. Do you have any idea what the amount of grants we have received, or the amount of grants that we have applied for since Connie's come into this position?
Let me brag on it for Connie, because she probably tried to soft pedal a little bit.
I wanted to throw that softball way up in the air for you there.
I will
swing at
hit
it.
that one and see if I can get it over the fence. Kind of a running total, right, that we like to put in all of the proposals is we've requested $45 million worth of funds. We've secured $1.5 million worth of funds, but I have a announcement at the end of the night where we have dramatically included blown that 1.5 million out of the water with an announcement that I'll give you later, $2.8 million more. And we have 30 million outstanding that we're still waiting on. So in effect, we've converted 2.8 million of that 30 million that we're waiting on now to real dollars. And then Connie has also provided support. Councilmember Schultheis, kind of like all of the reporting and the additional work that goes into it, supported other departments, largely the BPW, in securing an additional $11 million. So I'll brag on Connie and say fantastic investment. But I like to not think of our people as investments as much as just fantastic resource that we have, that making sure that we're going after dollars and really investing in our infrastructure in ways that we are excited to do.
Those are pretty impressive numbers. Thank you. Actually, incredibly impressive numbers. That is a whole lot of additional investment that we can make in this community and benefit for the taxpayers of the city of Holland. And while you don't like to necessarily consider our employees' investment the return that we get from those employees is fantastic. And I just want to make sure that the people of the City of Holland know what an incredible job that you and your staff are doing, and that this is all based on a recommendation that was made to us by staff several years ago, and it has paid off many times over. So appreciate that. We do need to do a roll call vote on this. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Soul.
Yes.
Rowan.
Yes.
Schultheis.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Corbin. Yes. Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, item 12E 6.1, gifts. Brenda, would you please review the gifts for us?
The city manager's office is pleased to report the following gift. An in-kind donation from the Van Dyken family of an 8x12-foot American flag to hang at the Waverly Road Fire Station in honor of our nation's veterans and first responders, valued at $242. It's recommended that the donation be accepted with appreciation and an expression of gratitude be forwarded to the donor.
Great, thank you. What is the pleasure of council in regard to the gifts?
Move to accept with appreciation and an acknowledgement of the gift.
Great, thank you. Motion by Rowan, is there support? Support by Vreeman. Any discussion? I'm not 100% sure on this, but I'm about 99.9% sure on this, that we can express our appreciation right here, right now, to Assistant City Manager Matt Van Dyken and his family for that gift. I know that you've given American flags for other city facilities in the past. I know of at least one. I'm guessing there may be others. That is a great thing that you and your family are doing for the city. So thank you for that, Matt.
Thank you. It's my honor to do that.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item 12E 6.2, adoption of the 2025 strategic plan and business plan. Mr. Van Beek.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor and Council. This is your work. I just, with a lot of help, I'll acknowledge that right away, from Mallory Heisinger in my office, are able to take the results and the input of the community and then of all of you into what we call the strategic and business plan. I'm not going to take a lot of time to go through it, but just a few quick highlights with the assistance of some snapshots. You'll see there the cover of the business plan, and then one of the pages in there just talking about what our process of strategic planning is, why we think it's important, and then you see kind of that one visual of the action requests that are accompany every single thing that you do on your agendas. And really just like to point out that this isn't just some, oh, there's a vision statement somewhere hanging in City Hall, but there's not a connection to the actions that you take. We try each and every year more and more to connect everything that it is that you do as council to the overall vision, mission, and value statements. Speaking of those, here are the vision, mission, and value statements that we have and that you confirmed again this year for our organization, and thank you for doing that. Council priorities, I spared you of listing the very small pages that take each one of those 4 goal areas to maintain and improve a strong financial position. 1, to enhance connections with stakeholders. 2, to continue to improve the city organization. 3, and to provide quality services to all stakeholders. 4, you all know that there is a grid that breaks those down into specific tactical actions that we're taking and how we try to measure those and who those are assigned to. There's a lot of detail in there also, but what we did do by recommendation and request of some of you a couple years ago is we kind of boiled that down into just a 1-pager where we said, hey, what are some of the bulleted points that are your priorities that you communicated to us that we're really taking a look at in the business plan in this coming year? And you'll see those identified by goal area here. So again, we think this is an important process. Hopefully, and I know that you do also, and I think it's really in the gears, if I would, of how we continue to make progress towards the priorities that you set, and hopefully we continue to deliver. So the recommendation is that you would formally adopt the proposed strategic and business plan that's before you tonight. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Any questions for staff? What is the pleasure? Yes. Oh, I'm sorry. No, go ahead, Ms. Rowan.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have a question so much as a comment, to just say, as a newbie on the council, I really appreciate how the efforts that we took, like for instance, during our retreat in January, and all through all of our study sessions, our meetings, our agenda items, it's really gratifying to see everything come full circle. And for those of us who are new, or particularly for myself, it's just, I love the way the city just keeps folding in. It's like making a beautiful croissant. You just keep folding the layers together and together and together, and it just comes out to be this really perfect product. And it's really wonderful to see how you've distilled it into a paper form and something that makes sense. And it's almost like a guidance document for those of us who are still trying to understand all of these new pieces coming at us. So thank you to the staff and for your efforts and just making it, city council for dummies, I think, and making it very user-friendly. But moreover, making it faithful to the mission of this city and the operation of this city. So I just wanted to express my gratitude and compliment you on your fine work. So thank you.
Any other questions, comments for staff? What is the pleasure of council in regard to item 12, Echo 6.2?
Move to adopt the 2025 strategic plan, business plan.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support? Support by Schulteis. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Okay, Rowan.
Yes.
Schulteis.
Yes.
Freeman.
Yes.
Corbin.
Yes.
Soul.
Yes.
And Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item on the agenda, 12 Echo 6.3, award bid for Holland Museum exterior masonry restoration project. Mr. Van Beek.
Mike, you've created a monster. As you all know, I'm going to pass this on to Assistant City Manager Matt Van Dyken, who we're keeping very busy with various projects around town, and this is another one that we've had some anxiety about, haven't we, Matt, for a couple years of how this has come in, and I think this is good news for us all tonight.
Yeah, it is. Good evening, Council. This is an item that those of you that have been on Council for a while have heard us talk about for roughly 2 years. Keith, there's a few slides if you wouldn't mind. That's the masonry plan for the Holland Museum, which was once the Holland Post Office, which is one of two main masonry historic buildings. One's the one we're sitting in right now, and one is the museum. As you know, we did an extensive repair last year on City Hall. So we did all the tuck pointing, all the masonry repair, removing spalling, all that good stuff. So City Hall was under reconstruction on its exterior for most of last summer. During that time, Keith, if you can advance the slide again, we've put some work plans together. This is a plan by Quinn Evans. Let's just go through the next couple. One more. So during that time, last summer, we had some concerns about the condition of the structure that supports the roof for the Holland Museum. The roof joists or beams are cast iron, and there was concern that they may have been rusted and would cause an even bigger issue. So you can advance a couple of more slides. That one's perfect. So I'm not a mason, but I can look at that and understand that that has deteriorated over the years. So this project will include not only the type of restoration that you saw in City Hall, cleaning, tuck pointing, repairing, removing ferrous items, all the things that need to be done to a historic building, but it also replaces the brickwork that's behind that parapet wall. So we were very concerned with what we were going to find and obviously what that does to the cost. The good news is that brick is actually somewhat porous, And the moisture that we were concerned that had gotten to those roof joists was actually captured by the brick. And ultimately the brick basically sacrificed itself to the elements to save the roof joists. So we'll be going in, we'll be removing all the parapet stones all the way around, actually using CMU block to replace the brick and making that structure sound again. It is somewhat of an urgent process, even though this has been over 100 years. This has probably been going on. You can see that there is some shifting of stone and things like that that we need to address, which this project will address should you approve it tonight. It is an extensive project. We will be keeping the museum open during the project's entirety. And then further on this summer, there are things like some roof repair, some railings that will need to come back to you. But really the urgency of getting this done this summer is why this is not coming as a complete package, but really the masonry scope first, get the building structurally sound, get it cleaned. I think we'll all be a little surprised at how, being on River Avenue for 100 years, how that building has got a little dirty. So get that cleaned up. So really that's what's before you tonight as a recommendation. We would be looking at getting this project going probably within the next 3 weeks, should you approve it. And again, keeping the building open, keeping sidewalks open, making sure people can still enjoy the Holland Museum throughout the construction project.
Great, thanks, Matt. Any questions for staff? Yeah, Mr. Schulteis.
Thanks, Matt. Just for context, in the action request, it talks about the capital improvement fund allocated 1.25 million. Was that just for this portion of the work, or was that for the whole?
That was for the entirety of all the project. The roof,
Okay.
if we've got, again, railings, there's going to be probably some painting that needs to be done. So if there's any HVAC improvements that we need to do inside, so that'll all be included in that. It's roughly this portion with a $654,000 bid. I'm asking for a $50,000 contingency just because building's 100 years old. That is $700,000. So that remainder is what we'll use to complete the rest of the project.
Ballpark in that remainder still feels adequate to complete the remainder?
Yeah, knock on wood, yes.
Okay.
The masonry is by far the biggest portion of this project, and it's 95% labor and 5% materials.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions for staff? Okay. What is the pleasure of council on item 12, Echo 6.3?
Move to award the bid of the Holland Museum exterior masonry restoration.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support? Support by Schulteis. Any discussion? Seeing none. Brenda, would you please call the roll?
Schulteis,
Yes.
Vreeman,
Yes.
Corbin, Soul,
Yes.
Rowan,
Yes.
Mayor Box.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Next item, item 13, communications from the city manager, Mr. Van Beek.
Sorry. Yes, I do have a few things. My guess is I will hold my comments about tulip time because others might talk about that. My guess is also I will hold comments about Community Impact Day as I've got, 3 guys in the room with the shirts on. So other than to just make sure that from a staff perspective, we communicate our immense sense of gratitude to the community and the West Coast Chamber and all the volunteers for helping us out this week. I do note it's not often we had a consent agenda that got to Z tonight, and even this guy knows that's 26 items. I know, that's good. So well done tonight, council. We're staying busy. And I did reference this a little bit, and with Mark Myers here also, very pleased that we had a big win today, and that we did get an announcement that our project, and you'll recall that we did have someone help us apply for a grant, and it was a grant to get various infrastructure surrounding LG completed. And what we were looking for is for the road infrastructure, traffic signals, road expansion, intersection safety projects. We asked and we received a $2.8 million grant today. So that was very good news. Now, you'll all remember, and because you applied it recently, we did cover ourselves there, where whatever we didn't get in a grant, LG was going to pay for anyway. But still, grant dollars are good dollars. So here's a good project where we took a look at, with our transportation department and our friends, at the state and the county road commissions and we said, hey, really, what do we need to do to make sure that we're improving the infrastructure and the road network around this potential project? So kudos to everyone, especially on our team, that was able to secure this grant. That is really good news. And then the final thing is we are going to just move ahead next week, Wednesday. I hope that you all can make it again. And we're really looking at 3 agenda items that we'd like to tackle next week. One, we're going to have Hope College, the Frost Center, come and give you a report on the results of the citizen survey. 2, we're going to have, it'll be fun, but also it'll be good information. Our own HR director, Jennifer Orm, is Colby qualified. And Colby is a very specific, it's kind of a disc type inventory of taking a look at strengths and how you process information. We have all of that information not only for you, but for a couple of us key members. And we'll talk about that and how we make sure that we continue to have great working relationships and good communication. We understand each other a little bit better. Yeah, Tim, I know you need a lot of help to help understand me, right? So we're looking forward to do that. But we also are going to have some recommendations for you that we want to talk through that really takes a look at what we're now going to be recommending calling our Ambassador Academy, which is basically similar to the police has had their Police Citizen Academy for years. We're looking to offer the same, inviting primarily residents, right, to take a look at the entirety of the city operations and learn a little bit more about their city that we'd look to roll out this fall. This is definitely something that we need, that we want you all to be involved with. So we'll be talking through that with all of you as a group at study session also next week. So just a little heads up. And that's all I have. Thanks, Mayor.
Great. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, appointments and communications from the mayor. I'm going to follow the city manager's lead and and hold off on most of what I would love to talk about Tulip Time, because I think there's somebody else up at the dais that wants to talk about that as well. I just wanted to say a big thank you to the organizers of the Tulip Time Festival, the city staff for the amazing work that they did, and especially to the people of the city of Holland and the surrounding area for your patience with the hundreds of thousands of people that came to visit us here in Holland, some of them not recognizing which roads were one-way roads, or actually not recognizing which way they were supposed to go. I saw a number of those, but the patience that the public showed, especially in this incredibly challenging year with a lot of road construction projects that were outside of our control. I try not to read the comments on social media, but I am a glutton for punishment and did read a lot of the comments and found many, many people saying, hey, it's just 1 week. Take a deep breath, relax. It's great for the community. So thank you for everyone for making Tulip Time an incredibly successful week. And as was mentioned by Mr. Van Beek, as was mentioned during the public comment period, as to whether or not it was appropriate to wear a T-shirt today to the city council meeting, there are 3 of us in the room today that were part of the 1,501 volunteers, 1,500 of whom actually worked on projects, and 1 who drove around and thanked people for working on projects today, organized by our incredible West Coast Chamber of Commerce. This is only the 3rd year for this program. There are 70 projects that were requested. Every single project, although they weren't able to put volunteers, the full number of volunteers on every single project that where there was request made was served in some way, and projects mainly in the Holland area, but also over into the Grand Rapids area and all the way down into Fenville. 3 projects that I'm aware of that benefited the city of Holland directly. For our Parks Department, we had miles and miles of cemetery gravestones weed whipped and mowed around today. For folks who don't know, we have a big Memorial Day celebration that takes place in Pilgrim Home Cemetery, and we love that cemetery to look as good as it possibly can for Memorial Day. And by Memorial Day, people tend to forget the fact that we just had tulip time, and our Parks Department is incredibly busy during the tulip time season. So that's really very helpful for us in making sure that that cemetery looks good during the Memorial Day and frankly all year round. Also, we had folks out pulling tulips, yes, pulling tulips, in the downtown area, along the tulip lanes and along the boulevards. I actually saw that group, met up with that group. They were moving so quickly, we almost had to trot down 8th Street to catch up with them. They were doing such a great job. And then finishing up the Holland Park railing project that they started last year. One of my favorite stories for the entire year last year was when we found out that a group of incredible volunteers went all the way from Boat Works almost to Hines and got most of that blue railing painted last year. The last time we got that, well, I'll save that. They painted almost that whole thing. The only thing that the city had to provide were paint and brushes and drop cloths and gloves, and made sure that we were very frugal and used 11% coupons from Menards to pay for most of the materials. I was out there today. They finished that project this afternoon. There were 250 people out there today painting that railing from the edge of Holland Park all the way to the Hines end was solid people painting that railing. Wonderful, joyous experience. I had the opportunity to visit today at Community Action House. We were at the Salvation Army. We were at La Houppe. We were at Holland Park. We were downtown Holland. Great to see all of those folks out there making an impact in their community. And kudos to the Chamber of Commerce for West Coast Chamber for coming up with this idea, because it not only benefits organizations like the City of Holland. We figured we got one half of one full-time employee, 2/3 of a full-time employee amount of work in 3 hours today, and with volunteer labor, but we had corporate groups out there. They've found that it makes those teams work better together. It makes people feel invested in their community. It makes them feel more connected to their community. It gets people out there an opportunity to meet other people in the community. It is an absolutely fantastic idea. The Chamber has actually put together a blueprint for other chambers of commerce around the country to start putting these programs together, and they're seeing this spread. This idea that started here in Holland, Michigan 3 years ago is spreading across the country and is having an incredible impact on the community. I got to spend the afternoon with the chamber president, Jody Ozarski, and she said to me in between smiles and tears that this is her absolute favorite day of the year. And I could not be happier, and I could not have been more excited to go out there today and see the great work that people were doing. 1,500 people working and one mayor thanking people. So that's all I have today. Next item on the agenda, appointments, motions, communications from council members. Anything from council members, Mr. Vreeman?
Nice segue, sir. Thank you. And during the week, my job is a funeral director and working at Langland Sternberg. And I was on a call this past week in a home, and our police department was there as well, and ambulance service and victims advocacy, and navigating that call with them. I just shout out to Chief Messer and his team and how they operate each and every day, and just such honor and respect and love for our community and with dignity, and it's just awesome. And so that's my job during the day, and then on days off like today I do community impact, and the last week I took vacation to partner with Tulip Time, and I could just cry because what takes place in our community in collaboration between Parks and Rec and Tulip Time and city leadership and police force and all these different things to host hundreds of thousands of people in our city with great hospitality. And some of us have done it with a grit in our teeth because there's so many people and so much going on. But I can say from personal experience to engage in it in such a way that we come with such, I'll say, humble pride of who our community is and how she shines in weeks like this. And so I just thank you to city staff for rolling up sleeves and with hospitality and partnering well in the many, many organizations throughout this community. I harassed city manager and assistant city manager today because I was seeing them walk around. But what you have done is empowered your leadership team so well that they were leading and facilitating the numerous volunteers that were taking place. And that is true throughout the festival and everything that's taken place in our city in the last 2 weeks. And so on behalf of Tulip Time, and volunteering for the organization and navigating, I get to train and schedule about 47 guides and hospitality team, and we do an hour and a half or 2 hour tours of our city. Our guests that come to Holland, they stand about 2/3 of the way through the tour, they stand at Vinralti's statue. And we get to share how the collaboration of our community being developed as a community of faith, a community of community engagement, of education and nonprofit, and how it works so well. And we always talk about guarding that and protecting that we to enjoy the very community that we do. And it could be 2 clicks off of losing that. And so it is inspiring to be able to tell the story of Holland to hundreds of thousands of people personally on tours and in living it out in what we do each day. So on behalf of a city resident that I'm very, very proud of it, thank you.
Thank you. Any other appointments, motions, communications from council members? Then there is just one more motion that I would entertain at this time.
Move to adjourn.
Moved by Vreeman. Is there support?
Support.
Support by Sol. All those in favor say aye. Aye. We are adjourned. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.